Hey everybody, this is Al from PC Tech Review 101, coming back to you with another OEM desktop conversion into a gaming case. Today I'll be using a Lenovo ThinkCentre mid-tower model number M83. This specific model consists of an i5 4570 4th generation 3.2 GHz along with 8 GB of DDR3 RAM and 500 GB SATA hard drive. And also it came with Windows 7 Pro. All these items I'll be using to convert it into a nice looking gaming case and to make it look like this. Okay, now let's take a quick look inside before I make the final transfer into the gaming case of my choice. Now once again, we're using a Lenovo ThinkCentre mid-tower model number M83, which consists of i5 4570 3.2 GHz 4th generation processor, along with 8 GB of DDR3 RAM and 500 GB mechanical drive. Now, along with all the components I just mentioned, plus the motherboard, I'm going to use all that to transfer into a gaming case. And I'm going to show you how. So stay tuned and let me show you, once I take everything out, all the key components and how to make this conversion successful. That way, in your new build, you don't get any errors upon your boot into Windows. And here we have all the components that are necessary for successful transfer into a gaming case from a Lenovo M83 mid-tower desktop, which features Intel 4570 4th generation platform. So the first part I want to go over with is, of course, the I/O shield. It's a standard I/O shield which you'll need for a clean look into your new gaming case. Now here, see this wire? That's the thermal sensor wire. So far, I was able to boot up into the operating system with this motherboard here out of the original case with no errors while this wasn't plugged in. So that's kind of optional. We're gonna get a final result, final answer at the end when I put everything together, and we'll see if I really need it. But so far, like I said, there's no errors at all. And the good news is this motherboard does have standard fan headers, so there should be no issues plugging in a nice side exhaust fan. Next we have, of course, the stock OEM CPU heatsink, which is also connected with a standard 4-pin connection. In my opinion, I would keep this part and not change it. Of course, I'd recommend taking this out, cleaning up the fan, and apply a new thermal paste. That way you kind of get an idea, you know, of how old the thermal paste is. Then over here, this motherboard comes with two power connectors for SATA. You could connect up to 2 hard drives on one side and 2 hard drives on the other side. Now this is totally up to you if you want to keep it. Depends on the kind of look you're trying to have inside the case. But of course, when you're using an aftermarket power supply, and that's what it's all about, this build, it will come with the SATA power connection, so you're probably not going to need it, but that's really up to you. I will not keep these. I'm just going to take them off. That's optional. Next, of course, I am keeping the 2 sticks of 4 GB of RAM for the build, just to make it a budget build. That's the way it came. And here, of course, the tower came with a DVD rewritable disc here, so that's really, again, up to you. Depends what kind of case you're going to use. If you want that clean look, as you know, the new cases don't even come with a slot for a DVD drive anymore. But if you want to keep it and install it in a different kind of case, that's really up to you. That's also optional. Next, this is the key component. This is the only item that I had to order from eBay. This is the adapter. This is the key for the final transfer here. This is a 14-pin adapter going into 24-pin standard power supply adapter here. So you will need this in order for you to have a successful transfer into a gaming case, or if you're just gonna upgrade the power supply in your Lenovo M83 desktop. So go ahead and it just clicks right in, no problems, and I already tested it and it works just fine. And the last thing I want to go over is the pinout for your front panel of your new case. It's very easy. I was very surprised how this motherboard wasn't as proprietary as the other transfer case that I did for Dell 9020 Optiplex. These are really straightforward, and if you could see, if you count from the right to the left, you're gonna go 1, 2, and 3. This one here, you go vertical, that's power connection. You have to put the power from the case going vertical, and that'll give you the power connection. And then to the right of it going vertical is the reset. Now we're gonna go through that over again once the final build is complete, and we just reconfirm everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is all the stuff you're gonna need for a successful transfer into a gaming case, and you have yourself a really good computer at the end of the day. So stay tuned for the final product. Alrighty, so the final masterpiece is ready. Let me just turn it on. As you could see, you could turn it right on from your power button, no issues at all. So let's go over the parts that I used for this transfer. For the case, I chose a Cooler Master Box Lite 3.1. Nice little budget case. Probably one of the best for its price range, around $30 to $40. Also, I used a PowerSpec 650 watt semi-modular power supply, 80 plus rated. And for the graphics card, XFX RX 560 4GB, decent little budget card. With this build, should be able to play most of the modern games on 1080p quality, low to medium settings with decent frame rates. Also, I picked up these 3 generic LED 120mm fans here. To also got the red LED stripe on the bottom there, as you could see, for little aesthetics. And the rest basically I kept from the original Lenovo, including the motherboard, the processor, and the CPU heatsink. All I did was actually clean the CPU heatsink up, make it look nice, and I changed the sticker to a nice little red design, as you could see the middle of the fan. Also, I kept the RAM 8GB. This motherboard does go up to 32 gigs, but I'm going to stay with this to kind of stay within the budget that I'm looking for here. Also, the 500 gig mechanical drive was still had plenty of life left into it. Really no issues with it at all. I've been lucky, I guess, with it. Starts up pretty well. Loading is decent. So again, I'm just trying to show you guys how to, save some money on this build. If the parts are good, why not reuse them into a nice gaming case, So at the end, everything came out pretty well. And the good news is I did not need to use any additional sensors, which I know earlier in the beginning of the video I mentioned that the thermal sensor, you may need it for this transfer. It might give an error, but it doesn't. So you don't need any additional sensors or wires. The only thing you do need to order that 14-pin to 24-pin adapter for the power supply, and this thing works like a charm. Also, I was able to use from the front panel of this case USB 2.0, which is right under the graphics card. I was able to plug that in, no problem. And let me show you a little closer look to the pinout for the front panel and the USB port. So these are the connections that I mentioned before. Right here you could see that's the front panel USB. There'll be 2 extra pins on the left, that's okay. You just have to connect this USB front panel all the way to the right, and there'll be 2 extra spaces left. That's not a problem. That's just because It was for proprietary connection from the other case. And on the right here we have the pins. So I was able to use just almost all of them except one from this gaming case. So to the right we have vertically going a reset button, and then next to it going vertical is the power button. Then you have a space here, and then next to it going vertically we have the HD LED. Those are the ones I was able to use. Did not find the power LED pins to work. Maybe there is. I'm sure there's a diagram somewhere on the net that you could find, but also for references, the one single pin that's on the right side will be open. So that's for references. So it'll be one pin on the right, then the next goes the reset going vertical, then next to it power going vertical, then there's a space, and then going vertical we have the HD LED. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this transfer. All there is left to do is test out some games. So here we go.
Those fucking twins, Nikki and Luke. Ah! You better not hit me again! My dad tried to fight, so? Then they took the house. My mom and I were forced to start over on our own. They weren't their only victims. But my mom managed to bring survivors together, and we all tried to build a place for us. Blocking our way. We're gonna need some firepower. Let's do it. I passed through that old mine when I left to get help. There's a workbench inside. Use it to build a weapon. Rush was supposed to be the final piece so that we could finally fight back. But now, we're worse off than we were before. I'm sorry about the people. I promise I'll figure out a way to make this right. There's that workbench I told you about. Rush said you were resourceful, so let's build something. You can use benches like